No, I'm
right.
sure that one cost them a bundle. They didn't leave it there very long. It was within a week or two, it was out.
I wonder if there was probably going to be fines or something if they didn't get it out quick.
Oh, one way or the other, they had to get it out because it was in the Portland Water District area.
Oh,
Oh, was
gotcha.
it?
Where they draw the water for the city. So it had to come out.
Well, typically, the way I've heard the law, your vehicle goes through, you got 24 hours to get it out. And
Otherwise, they're going to
that,
come and take it out.
well,
That's-
not really. They'll fine you every day.
Yeah.
It's in the water.
Well, there was a boat 2
Kind
docks
of-
over from us last summer that sank, and he was out within 48 hours. I don't know what they gave him for time limits, but they got it out pretty quick. It's pretty interesting to watch the way they do it. The airbags floated
Oh
it
yeah,
out.
floated right up to the surface.
Yeah, we pulled one out of this lake quite a few years ago. Guy drove through and he drowned. He was still in the car, and they finally got him out. But nobody wanted to pay to get it out, so we were able to get a dive team for a practice run.
Wow.
And they actually pulled it out, and we dragged it. We supplied the boat, so I dragged it around Mars Point to somewhere where we could pull it out on shore.
Yeah.
Sad.
But the dive team did all the work, and airbags just floated it up.
Yeah. Also, what happened with this one, I think one of the boots on his lower unit let go. Because then his bilge pump died. So his battery was
one
born.
of those bellows, one of the bellows, they tear, and they're below the water line.
Doesn't take much.
Nope.
My boat was taken on water 6 or 8 years ago, and I couldn't figure out why. I pulled it out down in New Hampshire. I finally pulled it out, and I couldn't find anything wrong. So I filled the boat with water, and I filled it up to the starter, and then seen a pinhole in the boot. That's all it took.
Really?
You take on 50 gallons of water overnight because it was below the water line.
Justin or Leslie put in the chat that they put in they copy and pasted the law or a portion of it. It said the vehicle must be removed within 30 days of the submersion or partial submersion, or within 30 days of ice out in the body of water, unless the commissioner determines that the vehicle creates a health or safety hazard. And I'm imagining must be removed sooner.
Yeah, I would think so.
All right. Awesome. Thanks everyone for being here. I hope everybody had a great holiday and New Year's. And I know I think our last meeting was actually on December 14th or something along those lines. So it's been a bit. Wayne, how's it going? Donna, good to see you. Ken, Annie, Diane. A lot of weather you guys have been having up there, huh? A lot of weather actually all of the Northeast has been having. First things first, I just kind of wanted to just provide just a quick update on our nonprofit status and getting that all together. So that is in process still. We're making some good progress. We have the articles of incorporation good to go. We have the bylaws set up too, and we have some wiggle room in there too, set up if we need to change anything right away. We still need to file. Is that correct, Justin? I know you took that fall the other day, so just want to make sure you're all right. But
yeah, that's correct. Yeah, thanks. I'm doing okay. Yeah, I just have to get the stuff printed out and drive it up to the state. I just haven't had a chance where I've been kind of told to stay off my feet for a little while. So I will hopefully get that done soon.
Oh, yeah, no worries. Definitely take care of your health, Georgia and Anthony, I still think are on vacation still, so I think they're coming back at the end of the month. So we got plenty of time. No rush. But I wanted to talk a little bit about the actually, does anybody have anything they want to talk about around the ponds this week or around the area that they noticed or anything?
Nope.
Not that comes to mind.
Cool. All right. Yeah, it's winter now, so I'm sure there's not too much, but I can dive into what I wanted to just touch upon, which was the erosion in the logging that's been done on Sabattus Mountain. We have quite a bit more pictures, thanks to Justin and Georgia and Anthony for going out and taking some over the last month or so. So I just wanted to kind of go through and cycle through those. And I have them here, and I'll share my screen. So here we go. Great. Can everybody see this? Okay.
Yeah.
Perfect.
Yeah.
All right. So as we know, the logging has been going on around this area right here, Sabattus Mountain. We can switch to this, but fairly relatively green. Looks like this photo was taken. I think if you zoom in, you can tell, but I think it was probably sometime in 2023. But I just wanted to pull up just the photos that we had been taking this summer from Wayne and Ken. They had been sending some over. We're just going to cycle through those guys. And this is all west side viewing too. So, this is just the start of it.
It's pretty close to the house. Can't.
Yeah, it's right behind us.
Yeah.
Yeah. As you can see, it's progressing. These are different dates too. So this one is from July 26th. These first few are from the 23rd. There's different viewpoints there. Of course, as we're moving along, still from the 26th, and now we are going into. Oh, hold on, no, that's not the one I wanted to show first. And now we jump to the January 11th that Justin was taking, and he actually had his friend who had a drone come help and take some photos.
Ah.
So I mean, keep in mind that there's a lot less green too, just because it's the winter with those white sticks right there. Those are trees, but I mean, as you can see, I mean, it is very, very extensive.
It's a lot
I
of
think that
debris.
what it appears, they're taking out all the pine.
All the pine.
That's what it looks like.
Yeah.
Probably harvesting.
Yeah, originally they were cutting to the Sabattus line, but then after they were started, they must have gone and seen Ralph, and he's allowing them to cut on his land up to the field.
Yeah, I think from the permitting perspective, they do have two, correct, Justin? One for Sabattus and one for some parts of Wales.
I don't know, it was pretty close to clear cutting.
Yeah, no, I mean,
Yeah,
it's
it is.
extensive. And
Hey,
George-
Nick,
yeah.
sorry, can you go back to that other? It's that picture, but zoom that picture right there.
Yep.
So for those of you guys who don't know, that stand of trees in the bottom left corner, that is pretty much the town line. So everything to the right of that, we had a hard time getting pictures to the right of that just because the drone wouldn't travel that far from my house. But to the right is where it goes into Sabattus, and that's some of the pictures that you could see from the lake that you showed earlier, Nick, from July. Everything to the left of that tree stand is Wales property, and it's clear cut. Ken said they took pine. They took everything. They took pine. They took hardwood. One of the pictures you showed where you talked about the little white tree standing,
Yeah.
that's a piece of property that the owner didn't own, so they weren't able to cut those because that was somebody else's property. And then that field you can see in the top corner of the picture, that's the field up at the end of Whitterill. So a couple of those other pictures of where it goes up and curves back to that field on Whitterville, which is just past Ralph Drive on the right. It goes up to Sabattus Mountain. Hopefully I can get my friend back here and we can drive down the road and take some more pictures this winter of the actual clear cut on the Sabattus side.
Yeah, absolutely. Thank you so much for taking those and having your friend come as well. It is definitely devastating. And like, you know, all of this stuff, the removal of that vegetation, it like in the heavy rains that Sabattus
Couple of
and
trees are
Wales and the
standing.
area has been experiencing, washes all of that soil, you know, through
Yeah.
these old hay fields and down into the pond itself. You know, I'm the extent to which, you know, I'm sure it affects it, of course. You know, I don't want to get too much into the specifics because, you know, that takes careful measurement and stuff like that, but it is definitely impacting this in a serious way. I mean, the removal of that much vegetation with the rainfall that we've received, you know, all of that washes down. And I want to show pictures of that Georgia had taken that show the storm on December 18th, I believe. And just like the erosion that's happening in that area, which is very extensive.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, the
Yeah.
amount of rain we had, I'm not surprised at all.
Look at that.
It's gonna take a lot with it.
Got water, isn't it?
Yeah.
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 Would there have been manure on that field?
They're used for hay. I'm not entirely sure of the process, but I mean, does anybody know specifically if hay fields usually receive manure?
Well, if they have manure, sure they do. But Sanborns aren't farming anymore. They don't have any cattle.
Right.
So
Nick, I know for the 10 years that I've lived here, they have not spread manure on any of the fields for Sanborn's farm.
Okay.
What Ralph does do is he does have a piece of equipment that goes on the back of his tractor. And it's some sort of granular stuff that when he drives a tractor, there's an arm that goes really fast back and forth and it spreads it over the field. I have no idea what it is. I've never asked him. I don't know if it's some sort of weed killer for the grass, because he does cut at least 2 to 3 times a year for hay. That's all the fields are used for now. But I didn't see him do that this year just because it rained every day.
yeah,
Yeah, I mean that I don't know. Chemical fertilizer and manure, you know, they all contain phosphorus and levels of phosphorus. So if that is the case, which we don't know, and that is part of one of the metrics that we should definitely be tracking, and is like in our plan to track, is like the amount of fertilizer, whether chemical or natural, I guess, for manure.
Well, and you got to think about all the decades that those were all cornfields when I was a kid. So there is residual fertilizer from decades that's going to wash in. That flow that you showed too, I think it was like a motion shot, Nick. I've never we've always seen water on one side of the field, but now you'll better explain it, towards the Sabattus side. When that heavy rain came through, it was a stream going straight down between like that pit and where Georgia and AB live up on the hill. I've never seen that water come through that side of the field like that. And there's that culvert in the middle. So it's either draining into the lake down by Bob Stewart's place, or it's just directly going by sort of under where AB and Georgia live up on the hill, straight to the lake.
There's enough water coming down there to flood the road.
Yeah.
And I mean, that also brings up like concern about the actual road itself as well. And Leslie, you're 100% right about the historic phosphorus or the historic nutrient loading in the soil. You know, that stuff has a tendency to stay in there, and heavy rains and have a tendency to like accelerate that process. And with the loss of vegetation on the mountain, that just increases the amount of water that comes down and the velocity that it comes down. So it definitely does remove a lot more soil at one time.
Is
So,
it illegal for a donor to clear cut?
They have permits.
I don't,
And they do,
What did Sharon say about the permit?
Yeah, whether the permit should have been issued is the other question.
So it's unfortunate that George is not here because I dealt mostly with the local stuff. She dealt with the forest ranger when it came to this. And one of the things that we were concerned about, right? They got a permit. They did what they were supposed to do. But one of the things that concerned us, and Georgia brought it to the attention of the forest ranger, was the properties abutted. And I think because they were in separate towns, a different forest ranger did each permit, which is weird because the properties are joined. So when Georgia told her contact about that they were adjoining properties and then the amount of clear cut between the whole mountain, they did come out. They did aerial surveys from a helicopter. The Forest Service did. So they did check up on them and make sure that they were doing what they were supposed to do. It just unfortunately looks really bad. I mean, they do this all the time up north. It's just nobody sees it because it's in the middle of the woods. But to have this right next door is kind of, I think, shocking to a lot of people.
yeah, and I mean, just the impact itself too on like a common pool resource that is the pond. Not only, that may be those may be their trees, or they may have negotiated with whoever's property those trees are to take those trees down. But I mean, acts like this still impact everybody else who lives on the pond too. And I don't think there are many mechanisms within state agencies to really consider those things, and how these actions will impact a lake already in this condition in the future either. And I mean, that's part of the stuff that I've talked about in the beginning when we first got together, and just like the future and how this stuff will impact generations to come in the health of the pond. So
Just think how
definitely.
much it had on the wildlife.
Yeah.
I think there was some eagles up in that area too. If I remember right.
No, the eagles are around the lake.
I think, Justin, I think we have your video too that I can pull up, but
Yeah, he took a couple really fantastic videos, but unfortunately they were so long that I couldn't transfer them from text message to my email. But yeah, it was actually pretty fascinating to watch him operate the drone. Something that I might invest in the future.
Text him to Nick. Maybe he has the.
do you have Google Drive on your phone, Justin? Because you can upload them onto a Google Drive and then just share them to me, and I can just pull them up on my computer.
Yeah, I'll have to ask my technical expert Leslie.
You do
to
not
help
have
me with
Google
that.
Drive on your phone. I suggest texting them to Nick and letting the pro do it.
The pro do it. Nick, while we're just touching about the clear cut, I didn't know if you wanted to talk about what I messaged you the other day about the opposite end of the lake with the solar panel farm.
Yes, I can pull that up too.
And did you receive anything from the town office?
Nothing.
Okay.
Well, actually, from Wales.
Yeah.
Let me check. I do not have anything from Wales.
what did you want to know?
Well, so while Nick's looking, last week at there was supposed to be a dam commission meeting, but it wasn't held. But while I was at town office, at Wales town office, I was talking with Sharon. She said that the town of Wales received from DEP 15 notices of violation from the new solar panel farm that's being installed on Lee's Junction Road. They did a lot of damage down there. They exceeded the scope of their permit. They encroached on wetlands. They damaged wetlands. There's a duck wildlife management area back there, I guess. They encroached upon that part. Some of the damage that they did is irreversible to the wetlands, and that is all in the watershed at the north end of the lake. The other thing that she told me is this same company is starting to begin putting in a solar panel farm on 132 by the church where you see there. That pole line, that clear cut is a pole line that goes down and crosses Dead River near Bull Run Road, which is the road at the bottom of the screen there. And that's obviously even closer to the pond and, also in the watershed. I asked about potentially revoking their permit if DEP had thought about that because of their infractions at their other site. She said she didn't know that, but apparently this company has been around for a while. They've done work out of state, and there was an issue with them in Massachusetts where they permanently damaged and reversed the flow of a stream or a river in Massachusetts, and DEP fined them $1 million, and they just paid the fine and kept going. So it doesn't make me warm and fuzzy with these big companies with deep pockets that can just disregard permits and expectations and kind of the sanctity of the watershed and the environment and just do what they want and pay the fine and move on.
Mhm.
Yeah, absolutely.
Where's that solar panel field go? Where is it?
So
It's,
it's on Leeds Junction Road. I
okay.
kind of zoomed in and I sent you that picture, Nick, from Leeds Junction Road.
Yeah.
But
But
it's
you said there's another one going in behind the church.
correct. Yep.
Let me just
Yeah.
find this on the actual.
So that's it right there. So that other picture you just had, Nick. So
Yep.
right there, that field, the green field, not the brownish field.
Okay.
That's where they're putting it in right there. And you can see obviously the wetland. That's the Dead River on the right side of the screen. So I'm not sure how far back it goes. I just took a screenshot from Google Earth to send Nick kind of in the area that it is. They may have even gone into that second field that's a little brownish in the picture.
Yeah.
But that's where the one that they've got it mostly done. And then on Leeds Junction, that's Leeds Junction Road. And then on 132, literally right behind the church there where that pole line is cut down in.
Yeah.
That's where they're getting ready to start the other one. There's some equipment staged out on 132. And when I drove by yesterday, there had been some vehicles in and out. You could see the mud coming out onto the tar. I have not seen them drop off any of the steel for their supports for the panels yet. And I have no idea how far down in it's going. If they've had to cut any additional trees. From that picture, it doesn't look like there's a lot of open land down there. And I would imagine that they can't put them on the pole line because that's a right of way for another company. So
No, but they can put it right alongside the pole line.
Yeah, but it's somewhere in that vicinity. I'm not sure exactly where it's going to be.
Well, I have a friend who lives out there, and he lives on Station Road, Bull Run Road, and he said there's a solar panel farm going in right behind his house.
Bull Run Road's right here. Where did you say Station Road and Bull Run?
Station Road and Bull Run, same road.
Okay.
One of them, it's Bull Run in green. It's Station Road in Wales.
No. It's Bull Run Road in Wales.
Not if you look at the sign, Donna. It's Station Road in Wales. Right to the town line. Bull Run comes from the green side. Station is from the Wales side from 132. And anyway, Tim lives on Station Road, and they're putting in solar panels right behind his house. But
Is his
he
house
owns
near
enough.
K9?
What's that?
Is his house near the K9 road?
It's on Station Road, coming off 132, heading to the
Yeah.
lake.
Yeah. Yeah. Okay. I'm just wondering where it is.
Uh, oh,
That doesn't look familiar.
no, I don't see.
Well, I know where K9 Road is. Is it, do you know it? That's in Wales.
Where's K9 Road?
He just
Is it-
showed it on the map. Can you zoom
Okay.
in? I think it might be that.
K9 Road is just before the bridge at the other end of the pole line, and it cuts back up in.
Okay. So do you think it's
Oh,
near?
Right there, that dog leg that goes back to the right. I
Yeah.
believe that's K9.
I think
okay.
that would be it.
Yeah, all right. Just before the bridge.
Oh,
All
yeah.
right.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's a fairly, I shouldn't say new, it's 10 years old, but
Yeah.
it's a newer road.
So it's right near there that they're going to put in some more solar panels?
Well, Tim told me it's right behind his house, so that's up the road a little ways, closer to
Oh, okay.
132.
Oh, okay.
If you can, yeah, right, oh, where the hell's Timmy's? That big green field,
Yeah.
the next one down, the smaller field,
This
Mhm.
one?
I, no, go towards the lake, right there, that one. No, not that one, that one, the one your cursor's on right now. I
Okay.
think that's Tim's.
Oh, okay. So I mean, Justin was saying it was behind here, right? Is where they're planning that new one. So maybe that's the same one.
Well, yeah, Justin was saying it's where you are, where your cursor is now,
Yeah.
Yeah.
right behind the church. But Tim says it was right behind his house, but that's the power line, and it only makes sense because all of these solar panels have to be hooked up to a power line.
Uh-huh. So maybe it's the same one.
Yeah.
I mean, it does look
It
right
may
behind
be.
his house.
I mean, yeah, that
And Tim may be saying it's right behind his house, but the power line's there, and
Right.
it's across the power line.
Yeah.
I mean, yeah, depending on your perspective of what behind, or the
Right.
scope of that, this could definitely be the same thing. So one already ongoing that's experiencing issues over here. Oh man.
Who owns that land behind the church?
You see that piece that your cursor's over right now?
Sorry, there's a little bit of delay, I think, from what I'm sharing. So yeah, right here or
Up the head, come down into the wooded area.
okay.
Supposedly, there is another. Oh no. He bought almost all of that land. Somewhere in that area, there's supposed to be a large solar farm going in.
Right.
All
Right
of
at
this,
right up the head of the lake.
That's right.
And I forget his name.
Is that this,
But
is that,
it's my brother's brother-in-law owns it. He owns 100 acres out there. And he has seen plans where all around his 100 acres is solar. He's seen the plans for it because they have to notify him he's a budding landowner.
is that the same one as the Shots is gonna have one too? Is that in that same area?
Is George gonna have one?
Well, I thought I heard there's some talk about it because I talked to Dave Cody, and I thought
Okay.
there was something going on up on Sawyer Road at the Shots Farm, right behind his house. I had heard one. This was last summer.
Really?
Yeah, that's what I had heard. And also the apple orchard there, what's it called?
The
Oh,
Willow's Way?
Yeah.
Well, oh, what the hell's that?
It's a big
It's
place
a
up.
winery.
Yeah. I heard there was
Yeah.
one up
The
there.
Willow's
Vista.
Way.
Vista of Maine.
Yeah. I heard the one, it might be one up, now this is
Oh,
just
that
hearsay.
one.
It's just hearsay. I don't have any facts to back it up. I just hearsay.
I mean, these things should be public record, especially if they have to go to like planning boards and stuff like that. So, I mean, maybe this is just a simple email to the 3 towns to just figure out like what are the active solar panel projects in yeah.
And the thing of it is how do you stop it?
I mean, it's
Well, you
not
don't.
yeah.
Yeah, I think they have more money than we do.
Yeah, and the state government is all for solar panels.
Sure, but they don't look at the devastation to this anyway.
No, they don't.
You can't beat the big companies. You just can't. It's just the way it is.
I mean, let's we don't
Well,
I mean
Vista is right. You're pointing at it now.
yeah, this is right there.
Yeah.
And that's right up the road from me on Mason Rock. So it's just up the road a bit.
Yeah.
I mean, the DEP has regulations, you know, and if these companies are definitely not following them and they have a history of not following them,
The DEP has regulations, but it's a 250-foot buffer around the lake.
Yeah. And money
Outside of that 250, it's whatever.
That's not very much.
No, it's not.
There's not very much.
Well, that's
these-
why all that cutting got done on Sabattus
Exactly.
Mountain. It's outside of the 250 feet.
Yep.
It's still part of the watershed.
Yeah, that
Yeah,
seems
but it's
rather arbitrary.
outside of the 250.
And it should have been controlled anyway.
I think, I mean, this is great conversation. I think that's points to, I'm taking down notes of all of this stuff too. I think this points to a lot of like things we could definitely talk to our connections in the DEP. Justin, yeah, go for it. Or Leslie.
So while you guys have been talking, Nick, I've been trying to Google some stuff. I did see in July of 22, the town of Green rejected a proposal for solar panel farm. But then I found something. I'm on the Citizens of Green Maine Facebook page right now, and this is from July of 23. I'll see if I can take a quick screenshot here and send it to you. But it says like they're trying to get something worked through. This is saying it's 700 acres, and it pretty much is the whole upper green side of the lake.
Yep.
Let me see if I can take a quick picture right here and send it to you from what I
Yeah.
found online.
That's what Chris was telling my brother about. He owns 100 acres and it is basically surrounded. He owns to the lake. And on the other side of Sanborn Road also. But otherwise, he is surrounded by, or going to be surrounded by solar farm.
That's the one that shut. That's the one.
No, I think it's on the other.
It's the Sanborn Road in Green.
Right down, just up the street from us.
Right.
Yeah,
What is that? Is
I
that-
don't- You can't put a phone.
that's Sanborn Road right there.
Yeah.
And Chris owns 100 acres in there.
And so this is where we think it will be.
Yeah, because I
Yeah,
think
it's surrounding his 100 acres. It all surrounds his property.
Put the
Because
URL
Dave
in the chat.
owns the power line right on the top of side shots on Sawyer
Yeah.
Road. And that's where he said it was going in behind to the power line, which he owns land on the power line.
Yep.
Haven't they already started development on that?
That I don't know. I don't know.
So Nick, I just sent you a link in the chat from the Facebook page. There you
Yeah.
are.
All of that is gonna be solar farm?
Wow.
Is that everything in red?
Solar plants coming to green. It will cover nearly 700 acres. Please go vote yes. Now I'm just reading this. I'm not endorsing anything. To have a town ordinance August 5th at town meeting. If we don't have an ordinance, they can basically do whatever they want. You
Yeah.
can vote yes to have a set of rules in place against the project. Picture of the map where it will be all orange is panels. Wow.
Yeah.
Wow.
Like the
That
whole
must
town.
be,
I'm gonna look
But-
up Greenstown meeting real quick.
that must be the map that Chris saw.
Yeah. Wasn't some of that on the Sawyer Road, Dan?
Yes, yeah, because Chris, I'm not sure if Chris owns to the Sawyer Road. I don't think he does, but he owns land away from the lake, across Sanborn Road.
Other
It's
side.
basically behind his house,
No, it
because
was.
he owns a piece on the lake,
Yeah.
and he bought
Was it?
100 acres behind him.
Because I know they came to Dave Cody. I remember talking to Dave Cody. They had to come and get permission to abut his land. He had, I guess, there's a buffer. He had to agree to a buffer thing.
Okay,
But no, on that, did it show the vista, the wine vista, whatever it's called?
Yeah, that looked like it was in it. Hold on, I can pull it back up.
Wow.
was it in it or was it around
So-
Vista?
Yeah, the rumor was, again, I don't have any facts about it. I heard that they sold the vista to put in solar panels.
Let me download this so I can zoom into it.
Really?
That's
I heard Vista was for sale.
That's it.
I didn't hear it had sold.
well. That again, that's all. It's just again, it's just a hearsay to this point. I don't have any hard facts to back it up, but that's what I heard was they sold it. Sold.
The other side of the lake in green.
Well, it makes sense that it was for sale. So yeah, it makes sense that it sold, and they were asking quite a bit of money for it.
Yeah.
So
You just said sold.
this is where the vista is. The vista is right on top of this mountain, right? Am I right? Yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Right.
Yes.
The power line, the pole line goes right up through there.
Yeah, that's exactly. It looks like what they're staying near.
Yeah.
And it looks like it's also on near your friend's house, Dan. Sorry.
Yeah, it is.
Like right
Like
here
I
is
said,
covered too. So
Chris said that his property was surrounded by solar panels,
Wow.
or
Soon to be.
soon to be.
There you
anybody
go.
know how that vote went?
I voted for again. I know I voted against it in November when we had the ballot in green, but I never heard. Yep. How'd that go? I wonder.
I don't know. I'm trying to
I-
find it now on Google.
I'm almost thinking they voted it down. Because my wife and I got the results. We looked it up online. I think they voted it down. Yeah.
Yeah. What their town meeting was August 5th, is that right?
Yes.
I think it'd be easier to find election results soon.
But I don't think there's any solar panels going up on Shots land.
Well, I guess what I was thinking is he's so close to Dave Cody. I just assumed is that Shot's Farm is just 2 houses down from Dave Cody. So I was just thinking the whole backwoods there behind Dave and the power line. So I don't know exactly where it was going to go, but that's what I heard.
Okay.
How do we reconcile not using fossil fuels with solar panels? I mean, something's going to give.
Yeah, that is certainly what's on my mind right now. I mean, of course, like the appropriate, like, I mean, we've the following of regulations, but I think we've determined that the regulations are really not that well equipped to deal with this right now either.
Exactly.
Yeah, the 250 feet is just kind of outrageous, honestly. And considering the condition of the pond itself right now, like it is like in very dire constraints, like, you know,
That's
it's like it should have some type of special consideration because of how eutrophic it actually already is, that it should be a different tier of regulation. Justin, Leslie?
A voice for us.
Exactly.
Yeah, Nick, I just sent you another link in the chat. Well, the group's been talking. I've been trying to do a Google search. The only thing I could find is this Green Apple Solar. Is allegedly the name of the company, and
Yes.
that's what they're putting. That's all I can find on their website. If you try to look anymore, all it shows
Probably
is that
nothing there.
in Amtrak in Maine. They do have an office in Yarmouth, which is kind of interesting, but they're based out of Boston, I guess, is what it says, what I could find. But that's literally all I could find with the 10 minutes of going down the Googles.
Yeah, Green Apple Solar is the name of this project. Is that what it is?
Jet residents reject.
Yes.
That's the project.
Okay.
So Swift Current is the company. Yeah. It's a hard to find, and my guess is it's by design.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Sure.
And I heard you, Donna, too. Like, how do you reconcile? Like, we're not against solar, and the watershed is important too. Like,
Right.
two things can be true, right?
Absolutely.
But it's like, I'm going through my brain like, well, how do we protect more? Well, you have like a land trust or conservation. That's a ton of money that we don't have. Like we can't buy out the surrounding land and create protection. And, I don't think Alfond himself is going to come with, or Stephen King would come with philanthropy to save, but maybe like nothing's off the table. But we just can't take one more hit. The next hit to the lake is going to be the last, and people need to know that.
But here's my negative opinion again, which I sometimes have. They want to drain the lake, and then they can put solar panels in it. That's what they want.
Well, it would be interesting to know just how big Swift Current is. I mean, it could be an international company that is just making money and not really that concerned personally with environmental fallout.
I assume that for
that made me
99% of
think
companies out there.
Yeah, why not? I'll take turbines. Give me wind turbines. Like, would that be better? Like, what's the alternative? How can we come up with a compromise? Up on that ridge, can you imagine up where that winery is across the lake, and even on the cut they did? Wind. There's your clean energy.
Yeah, but Swift Current or whatever the name of that company is has already got their tentacles in. So I think we need to look at Swift Current. Is that the name of it, Swift Current?
Swift.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, it would be interesting to see just how mammoth.
I'm seeing wind turbines on their website.
What?
On their.
They have wind turbines and solar.
Looks like.
Oh, they're that. Hey, look at that.
Yeah.
They are big.
Yep.
Are they? What color are they?
I think this is like all of their maybe subsidiary companies that they do.
Wow.
I don't know if that's true, but it's the title of the map says where we're working.
Yeah. Okay, so
All over New
they
England.
are massive.
Yeah, huge.
3 little towns, I can tell you that.
Okay, so they might need to have a
Is it all
monkey
over?
on their shoulder.
Future
Like
projects in
us.
development. There's, yeah, I mean, it's directly listed right there. Hancock, Maine, a couple in Pennsylvania.
Okay.
It's funny how you can apply to put a shed on your property. You can't do it because of the ordinances within your town, but a company can come in and clear all the trees out of it, and
Right.
and that's okay.
Yeah, I definitely
Yeah.
think that this also stresses the importance of like local governance and planning boards. They're largely just appointed positions. And they do seem to have a lot of power in
They do. Yeah.
doing these things.
Well, they have smooth liaisons and lawyers, and before you
Exactly.
know it, they bought you lunch and you're signing the dotted line.
They have a lot of money.
Justin, Leslie?
Yeah, Nick, I just saw that you mentioned that one in Hancock, that Three Rivers
Yeah.
solar project in Hancock County, Maine. So I just Googled that, and it came right up with the DEP Google search that said it's 1,115 acres with approximately 400,000 solar panels on it. So I can only imagine how big if they got and those applications were accepted as complete in November of 2019 for that one in Hancock County. So I can only imagine how big this one will be for the lake. It's I think it had a higher kilowatt hours on that page that I showed you from Swift
Yeah.
Energy. I think 129.
129. Yeah, hold on.
Yeah, the one in Hancock County is 100 kilowatts, and there's 400,000 solar panels.
Well, what I just saw was in Androscoggin County, the one they're looking at. It's 120 kilowatts, so that would be bigger than the one in Hancock County.
That's what we're assuming. Yeah.
And they got 400,000 solar panels.
Just to give you an example of size, you're talking about 1,100 acres of solar panels. The lake itself is about 1,900.
Yes. Yeah.
That's what I'm saying. That's what they're gonna go for, the lake, the land with the lake.
Jesus.
No, they need
Yeah.
to be next to the power line, don't they?
Well, the
Oh, yeah.
power line's right there.
I mean, it's
Power line.
advantageous, but
Close enough, you think?
It crosses.
I don't know.
the
How do we
river.
get away from fossil fuels if we don't want them in our backyard?
yeah, I think it, like I'm kind of grappling with the same thing, but it's not. I mean, I guess why the consideration to the lake and the watershed is clearly not given is the thing, and it's just like the impact over. I mean, the lake is at risk, that's for sure, but
It's like Leslie said, maybe we need to just have a voice so that they can't railroad over us.
yeah,
Although
that's
we might
almost-
be a little late on that.
yeah, that's almost 60% the size of the lake. Covered
Yeah.
area.
Hmm.
And they're jumping in quick and doing a lot.
Yeah.
But does it look like the original thing in green
Yeah.
got turned down at the? I thought I heard somebody talking that it did get rejected.
I think he was
Yes, I saw on the Sun Journal reported that the town turned their solar panels down
in the town of Green.
on the latest vote.
On the latest vote.
In November.
November.
Whoa,
okay.
so maybe we've still got time to wave a flag.
Yeah, Leslie and Justin.
Yeah, I after I found that thing on the Three Rivers on the state DEP website, I'm just doing a quick dive down there for their major projects, and it doesn't list anything on that solar panel farm in Green, either Androscoggin County or Green Apple Energy. So I wonder if it's no longer an issue.
Yep, I knew it was Green Apple, but I now remember the sign along Sawyer Road. They had signs out, vote yes on Green Apple, alternate power, or whatever it was, or something like that, yeah.
That, you know.
So you're
So
saying
that's-
it got turned down, but it's still on their website that they're doing it?
Oh, I'm sure they're trying to figure out a different way. I mean, stuff like this, I imagine, is it a major investment for them? Like they've put money and time, and they probably might not just let it lie as it is. I mean, what the Central Main Power Corridor, didn't that come up like many, many different times?
Right,
Yeah. I
right.
mean, certainly a much smaller scale, but yeah.
Right.
I remember
Yeah,
many years ago, I lived in Westbrook, Maine, and there was the old Oxford Canal ran behind my property line. And during that, there was an area that was always had water, and we used to call it Berry's Pond. We went skating over there every winter as kids. And it was non-buildable land. And then all of a sudden, somebody came in and said, we're going to drain the pond, and this is a fact, and we're going to build condos, low-income housing. And I went on a rampage in City Hall, and I got signatures and made my voice very loud, which I sometimes can do in town hall meetings. And lo and behold, it was denied because I did the legwork because I bought a house in residential, and now they wanted to turn into multifamily low income housing in my backyard. And I wasn't going to let that happen. So I don't know if that's what has to happen, is a bunch of signatures, a bunch of campaigning, or getting the city involved, or getting the state involved, or whatever has to be done, rather than sitting back and just let it happen and then be mad because it did.
Yeah,
Right.
agreed. It's
How
certainly
big was the
definitely
pond?
What's that?
How big was the pond?
Oh, it wasn't really, it really wasn't I don't know, probably 4 or 5
Berry
acres,
Creek.
but it wasn't very deep.
Where was
Okay.
it, Wayne? What was the address?
But I lived on William Street in Westbrook, Maine, and the little
Okay.
pond was owned by the ex-mayor of the city of Westbrook, Freddie Perrell, and he owned the land and he wanted to develop it, but he couldn't because it was considered part of the Oxford Canal. And then somehow it would get in the town hall, and somebody with money had a meeting, and they wanted to develop the land. And if you look at the map now, it's off the old Portland Road, William Street, Route 25, and Longfellow in Westbrook. And the property is
Okay.
still a vacant land. They never built on it.
they never built on it. Okay. Justin, do you still have your hand up? Sorry.
Oh, I'm sorry. I forgot to lower it. I was going down the the Google rabbit hole there on just some more stuff on the DEP website.
Oh no, you're good. Sorry, Dan, I cut you off.
So Wayne, okay.
You say it was about 4 acres?
Yeah, something like that. Maybe a little bigger. I'm not good at doing that, but it was quite a big chunk of land. And Freddie Perrell wanted to build on it, but he couldn't enter the pond from Route 25 because I guess it's a state road. They wouldn't
Okay.
allow him. They wouldn't allow him to enter into the property. So he wanted to come up my street, which was a dead end street, William Street, and extend the street and go into the pond and build. And he wanted to put in a shopping plaza and low income housing. And didn't
How much
happen.
acreage did he have?
Many.
Yeah, because
Wayne,
anything under 10 acres, the state doesn't consider it a great pond.
Yeah, I don't think it was. We just used to call it Berry's Pond, and I think basically what it was is the Oxford Canal used to come through. Somewhere along the line, somebody dammed it up, and it
Okay.
backed and flooded, and enough so it was probably 2 or 3 feet deep, and we would go ice skating there in the wintertime. It was a beautiful pond to skate on. We called it Berry's Pond.
Okay. So it wasn't state regulated by the Great Ponds Act.
No, no, had a bunch of beaver and all that stuff in it, but nobody regulated it. I don't even know who owned the land. I think Freddie Perrell owned the land, but I'm not sure. it didn't happen, I guess. So that's all I cared about. It can happen now because I'm not there anymore.
No, yeah.
So Wayne, Wayne,
Yes.
I just wanted to be kind of off to the side, but network with you a little bit that my brother has a farm in Westbrook on
Okay.
East Bridge Street,
Yeah.
the old Aceto farm. It's called Race Me Stables now, and it's 30 acres. Are you familiar with the 30-acre horse farm on East Bridge?
Bridge Street, I am.
Yeah, okay. I just wanted to mention that, you know, he's trying to figure out what to do with a 30-acre horse farm in the middle of Westbrook.
Yeah, it's if I remember correctly, it's off East Bridge. It's off Street and East Bridge Street.
It's East Bridge Street, yeah. Yeah, and he had it appraised, and they came back with 750,000 because what he was told was it's only good for developing to develop homes on.
Yeah.
So I don't know. I'm just networking with that little piece of information about that.
I'll let my daughter-in-law know. She's a real estate broker in Westbrook.
Yeah. You know, well, he doesn't want to sell it and develop it. It's a horse farm. He's still got 20 horses there, you know, but I don't know. It's off the track. I know of this conversation, but I had to say it.
All right.
Yeah, no worries. So we are nearing time. It's 7:01 right now. Seriously, great discussion on this stuff. I think it just, continues to point to the importance that like the more formalized organization of us like coming together and, being able to actually access resources and funds and have a collective voice is very important. So I definitely think that moving forward with how we're moving forward is still the way to go. And I know this is a slow process overall, like over years and stuff. But it starts with things like this. So,
Hey, Nick.
yeah,
Is this something that's worth, I'm going to say you, because to reaching out to the members of the DEP, the people that we've had talk to us and see if they have any influence or any knowledge or can share anything with us? What protection do we have on the watershed as you know?
So I think the contacts that we do have are a good place to start. A lot of them, like with the watershed management, like Abby that we had spoken with and things like that. The thing is like on a regulatory scale and like what those regulations currently are, I don't think that, and this is kind of like, what I was talking about, like the different scales too, at which influence happens. Like this is where like state reps come in, state senators, and like, these existing laws, like we talked about, like the development of the 250 feet mark, like that is clearly not sufficient for a place like Sabattus Pond, and there's a lot. I did write a note, honestly, Wayne, a few minutes ago that said, ask DEP and Linda about that 250-foot rule to get more information about that and like any recourse. So I definitely will reach out to them. Maybe reaching out to Georgia too might help just for the legal expertise there, but some good old-fashioned Googling can definitely help too. So
My concern is these little towns, these big companies come in and say, we're going to pay you X millions of dollars to have this solar panel farm here to the town's taxes. And that's what happens. They take the money and they don't think of the impact.
Jumping quick
They don't think of the impact of the people.
while we're all naive.
Yeah.
I mean,
anyway,
it's a really smart framing from their perspective to just really only talk about the tax revenue, because honestly, like a lot of these small towns are very much hurting for it. So I mean, it's a very clever way to steer the conversation into a positive result for them. It doesn't seem like that particularly worked in Green, which is a good thing. But Justin, Leslie, go for it.
Yeah, no, just exactly what you were saying, Nick, about local representatives, like a PR campaign every time we can, like, I don't know if save the pond is the right slogan, but something about just becoming visible, becoming a part of the community so people know the Watershed Project, that you create sort of this groupthink around, if we don't have the pond, that's a problem. And equating like anything bad that happens to the pond means it's bad for my wallet, it's bad for my community, it's bad for the environment. What's in it for me? So you think about what drives anyone to action, what's in it for them. So coming up with a multifaceted PR approach to ice fishing, loons, the bird watching. People spend tons of money on bird watching and they come here twice a year to see, I don't know what kind of duck they're looking for, but you can see those people with the huge cameras over at the boat launch over on Long Beach, appealing to these different groups to gain that that grassroots community that turns into action. But and it starts here.
Yeah, absolutely. And, just from a little bit from the Dam Commission too, talking about their framing of the repair of the dam and the impact on the taxes of the pond residents, or like the people who are directly living on the pond and how much tax revenue those particular houses bring in. Like if this type of solar panel thing continues to keep popping up, increasing erosion, increasing the nutrient load coming from the soils into the pond, further degradation of the pond, and then it eventually turns anoxic or hypoxic. That loss of tax revenue gained, or that bonus gained from the tax revenue of the solar panels, is offset by the loss of tax revenue from people selling off their homes because they don't want to live next to a lake with nothing on it, or a pond with nothing on it, or a pond with severe algae blooms. And I don't think that level of depth is really considered at times when things like this are put into place. So I think it just really echoes that us organizing more officially, being able to access resources from the state, and kind of really establishing ourselves in the community as like an actual like organization that is out there and trying to generate this grassroots stuff about it, is super important, very important.
Look, here's another way of looking at it. Say I lived on Sawyer Road and I had an old farm years ago, and now I'm not farming it anymore, but I've got 50 acres of land that is not developable. I can't develop on it. Well, here comes a solar farm and says, look, I'll give 10 times what that land's worth. I'm going to take the money and run and retire. That's another thing that can happen, because you're
Sure.
private land. Sell it to whoever you want to. So that's an
Absolutely.
I know some landowners who have solar panels put on their land.
Yeah.
And the company did not buy the land. They're leasing it for the next 25 years. And basically, they're paying the taxes. So the farmer can still own the land, but they're paying the farmer a little bit more than he pays in taxes for that land.
Yep. So that's what I mean. That happen.
There is oh, sorry, go for it.
Oh, go ahead.
I was going to say there is a system out there. It's called Payment for Ecosystem Services, and it's mostly with agricultural production, but it's along the lines of like, when agricultural production is particularly harmful for an area that's experiencing like some type of environmental problem, like our pond. Again, like for us, it's not necessarily the farming per se, it's more like the historic farming that has already happened. It's not the current farming, but it's if, say, a farmer did want to continue farming and using chemical fertilizers on their property and like producing very high yields, there's a mechanism that can be developed, and usually has to be done in cooperation with some type of local governing authority, where a portion of some type of tax revenue does go to payment to that farmer to prevent them from using an excessive amount of fertilizer. It lowers their yield, but they're still receiving the same or a similar type of pay. And it also is effective against the collective good of whatever environmental problem it's facing, which is usually somehow related towards water, which, as we see, it has very dire effects over a long period of time.
Yes.
So, there are definitely mechanisms to try to figure that stuff out. I don't know how that would particularly work with Solar panels like taking over farmland, just because you're right. Yeah, you're right, Wayne. They do pay a lot more than the land is worth as agricultural land, because it generates so much more money as, you know, energy production.
Exactly.
So that's certainly a challenge, but
One more thing.
Yeah. Go for it. Yeah.
You know, you just, one more thing.
Oh, one more thing. Oh, sorry. Yeah. No, I added to my giant list of things that we're trying to consider at once right now. But I mean, think about it like this: we weren't doing this last year at this time, so I think that's a positive step.
Yep.
Anything else before we close out?
Well, I have one thing that I wanted to bring up, but we could talk about it next time. And that was, that just the question was, should I shut down the Sabattus Pond Partnership website, Facebook page, as being confusing or adding more to, say somebody wanted to find out about Sabattus Pond. How many Facebook pages do we have that say Sabattus Pond? And is this page project going to be more political? And should I keep up the partnership page for things like a lost dock? So that's
I think you should still keep it up. If there's anything that we want to share on that, that's still, like, you know what I mean? It would be like resetting the amount of people that are on there already. You know what I mean? It's because there's already a set amount of people on your Sabattus Pond page. I don't think there's any need to necessarily delete it. If there's anything that we want to share to it, that's still accessing that same audience in a way, you know?
Okay, I wanted some feedback on that, and thank you, Nick. And if anybody else has got anything to say about it, we could talk about it another time. But for now, okay, I won't do anything.
Okay.
Awesome. So I do have quite a few meetings next week, so I don't think we will be able to meet next week, but I will plan for the week after that. So that'll be the end of January. Right now, I think that is going to be the 24th.
Okay.
Okay.
So.
Yep, and I'll post this video. I'll post this video tonight, and I'll make a post tonight too about the next meeting. So we are still moving forward. Thanks everybody for being here tonight and taking the time out of your nights to be here to continue talking about this stuff. So very much appreciated, and I look forward to seeing you guys again.
All right, Nick. Thank you. Thank you.
Good night.
Night.
Thanks everyone.